All right, I'm back. Good sign, hot summer nights, cruise headquarters. It's all tomorrow, but we're gonna give you a bit of a preview right now. The man with the plan, Dan Nahas, you know him, you love him, big part of this community. So, it's a big deal and gets bigger every year. Let's talk
Absolutely.
about where it all began for you. How'd this start?
Well, it didn't start with me, but 25 years ago, now 26, this is 26 year they've had it. So the guys got together and started having car cruises down here. And they started smaller and they've just grown, you know, exponentially over the last
Grown is an
years.
understatement.
Yeah. There's actually like national companies that put on car cruises, and we will have more cars here tomorrow than some of them get.
This is what I've been wanting to ask you for the longest time. This has got to be one of the biggest in the country.
It is one of the, for the one-day cruise, it's one of the biggest in the United States. So for one place, one location, it's one of the biggest.
So every type of car, make, shape, model you can imagine.
Oh yeah.
From the classic cars to the muscle cars to the antique cars, they're all here.
Right. Yeah. You'll see every kind of car. It's crazy.
So why do you think muscle cars still remain a favorite to me? I dig Henry Ford. We'd be lost without him. Elon Musk is the modern day Henry Ford. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I don't know, man. I still like that GTO Mr. DeLorean made.
Yeah.
Why do I love those cars so much?
I think they look different. You know, if you saw a Pontiac, you knew it was a Pontiac. If you saw a Buick, you knew it was a Buick. If you saw a Chevy, a Ford, Mercury, I mean, those cars didn't look exactly alike. Now, you get on the road, everybody's driving a four-wheel drive SUV, and you can't tell a Volvo from a Porsche, from a Chevy, from a Ford. I mean, they all kind of look the same.
They do.
So
we're going to do a little bit of everything, and I'm going to remind you, it's tomorrow. When's it start here?
The road gets shut down at 11, but if you'd like a spot, you probably should be here a little earlier.
So I'll be coming through Beaver at 3 a.m., so I'll be good.
Be fine.
I'm good.
Yeah.
If they would just open the Brighton hot dog shop, I could grab something on my way. Listen, I do love these things, and there's just so many things to see and choose, but I love talking to Danny about the automobile industry. One of the things he did for me and my brother-in-law did for me, I ended up at McElwain, absolutely love it. Just came from Ohio, actually stopped off and washed my Equinox. That Chevy Equinox is a nice little vehicle.
They're nice cars.
A lot of people are buying them.
Oh yeah, they're very popular.
I bet Jay Leno has one somewhere.
He probably, yeah.
What has he done for this whole cruise thing? I mean, come on.
I don't know about everything he's done, but he's made the classic car
Hip again.
whole genre very popular. And when he put his show on MSNBC, I think it started 15 years ago. He had some really unique, interesting cars. People liked it. And I don't know Jay Leno personally, but I have friends of mine that have met him, said he's super down to earth, very nice guy, very approachable. And I think you met him one time.
Yeah, you know what? You guys are teeing this up perfectly. On my way here, I'm talking to James DeSantis, the uncle of that governor in Florida, Jim DeSantis, San Rocco Festa, the 100th, the Percy family, Lisa Morrison, all of them. The San Rocco band is going to be warming up CCBC next Thursday. I will be there. And let me tell you how it all connects. So CCBC years ago, I'm working at Zero Stop of the Mall.
Right.
Henry Mancini, West Aliquippa, is performing in front of 5,000 fans. And the man that warmed him up, the audience, was Jay Leno. He comes to the mall to eat. My boss says, you wait on him. I did. And at the end of the night, this cool guy who had long hair like yours, looked great on him too, gave me a $20 bill. And he was the nicest, one of the nicest people I've ever met. Engaged in conversation, asked me about my future, talked about this place that is Beaver County, and I have never forgot it. And that's why I love him. But I got to tell you, Jay Leno's Garage, which they're not doing anything new now, it really was a history lesson, and I just couldn't get enough of it. It's like the smell of gasoline. You just love it.
He still has a YouTube channel, and he puts new
does he?
content out. Yep. So he's on there. He puts a new video out probably at least once a month.
So, will we always have combustible engines? In my lifetime, maybe, but...
Well, so I think gasoline engines will be here for a long time. I think the electric vehicles eventually will
You like
go
them?
to, you know, I think the hybrids make more sense than an all-electric, because if you're driving from here to, let's say, Philadelphia or Atlantic City or, you know, to New York City, you know, stopping to charge, it's not fun. One of the guys that's here helping had a Tesla for a while, and he had a family member in Atlanta, and his wife told me, I will never take that Tesla on a long trip again because they'd have to stop.
Charge.
It was 45 minutes to charge it, you know, versus 10 minutes.
But that'll get better.
I don't know about that. I think that having a gas motor to charge the batteries so you have the best of both worlds. I have 2 people that work with me that have hybrids, and they love them.
Okay.
So
A little bit of the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So NASCAR, you hear what's happening this week in Bristol? They're playing a Major League Baseball game there. I mean,
Yeah.
and you can't get a ticket for it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's because
I'm thinking the Pirates aren't there. So
they're racing. They're racing though through the season. NASCAR.
yeah, NASCAR's still pretty big.
Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
It's not like it was.
One Earnhardt and those
Well,
guys.
when you look at the back of the days with Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough and all those guys, and then with Dale Earnhardt, definitely, you know, had a lot of people following him. And when he got killed, I think that really took a lot of people.
But you realize
away.
with NASCAR, going back to the Plymouth that Richard Petty drove, number 43, and you wearing that Snap-on Tools hat, you realize what they did for corporations still to this day, but also those automobile companies like Ford and Chevy and Pontiac and Plymouth, Chrysler, of course. I mean, realize what they did for the brand that built America, the automobile industry, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was so many jobs here that were automotive related. Now, what you're seeing now is the automotive industry with consolidation and with the automation in all the plants.
Right.
You will see probably less jobs and more robots. But I mean, if you look at a car being painted now with robots versus somebody doing it by hand, I mean, the robots don't make mistakes. So unless the robot breaks, you know, it's not an issue. But when people used to paint those cars by hand in the 70s and stuff, you'd see something with metallic, and the metallic wouldn't always flow right and stuff. So, you know, I have a car that's got original paint on it. It's a 1973, and the metallic is good, but not perfect. Like, you know, so you get a newer vehicle, my wife's Jeep, it's got a metallic paint job on it. It's like pretty close to flawless.
Really?
Yeah, so they do a good job on it.
I can always tell when it's getting close to meet with Dan Nahas because I actually see multiple Corvettes on the road. And today, I saw a lot of them.
Yeah.
Boy, I like what they've done.
Yeah, those are popular. We were just talking about that.
Go ahead.
Well, I like the new ones, but they've captured a younger audience with them. So
Well, that's good.
Well, that's what they wanted to do.
Well,
Because,
yeah.
I mean, all the guys that were buying Corvettes for a while, the median age was in their like late 50s. So they were trying to get a younger generation interested in it.
So what do you think the late Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys did for Corvettes and all those cool
I mean,
cars,
those guys,
muscle cars?
They muscle cars in the 60s, that was that just took off. That was kind of like the thing. It was cars and you know, psychedelic music
Right.
and all the other stuff they had going on. So there was a lot of crazy stuff going on there. But the muscle cars in the 60s, I mean, it got popular because of music. But, you know, every TV show, the guys would have some kind of a nice car that was fancy. You remember like Mannix and some of those shows? They all had cool cars. Yeah, so you know, it was just. I think James Bond actually started some of the cool
XKE.
cars. Well, he had a Aston Martin. You know, they had like Mustangs when they were new in the movies. I mean, it was pretty cool.
But I always like,
There's a GTO right across the street.
that's my car.
There you go.
When I make it big, love it. But, and guess what they're also making a remake of? Bullet.
That would be cool.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
And I think Steven Spielberg's directing it. But you know what Steve McQueen did for Mustangs when he made that movie, the Mach 1.
Yeah.
Went through the roof.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, your industry, obviously furniture and appliances, you just continue to smack it out of the park. I see your signs in Ohio everywhere. Explain to me why I'm seeing more and more GE products, because I'm all in GE. Now, I know the whole story, who, what, when, where, why, and how, but I still love the brand. Why am I seeing more GE appliances and products?
GE has invested a lot of money in production in the United States now. And during COVID, when nobody else had product, GE was still somehow able to get product out. Now, it was still bad. Don't get me wrong, it was still hard to get stuff.
Right.
But when I was fighting to get every product I could, GE had more inventory than anybody else.
Well, you know that they're going to actually start making all of their washers right here in America.
yeah.
That's a big deal.
Well, they just moved their gas range plant last year from, and this was before Trump was elected, this was before tariffs they were talking about and stuff like that. But they moved their gas range production out of Mexico into Georgia. So they were making all their electric ranges, and they invested a ton of money to modernize this plant. So they moved gas range production there, so they do not import any of the ranges from Mexico. That everything's made in the United States.
Well, one of the things that made the car industry successful were those who worked in manufacturing, those who took their paychecks and in many cases will walk across the street and pay cash for a new Chevy or Ford, low miles because they didn't really go many places, but they wanted a nice car, come back a couple of years later and just, basically put the cash down and do it again. There's so much good stuff happening in this region right now.
Oh, yeah.
U.S. Steel, Nippon Steel, absolutely love it. I'm driving to Ohio today, the Shell plant, they got massive cranes over there. They're building, fixing, creating. They got their own rail yard. Union Pacific now is going to buy Norfolk Southern, so we're going to have a transcontinental railroad, which transports those automobiles and those great John Deere tractors, if you're into that, which I am. Danny, you gotta, look, I'm not making a political statement because I do that on the radio. I have an opinion, you have an opinion. Whether this guy, you're a fan or not, I've never seen so much activity in my life.
Well, I think people are starting to maybe buy into the America First thing to try to do stuff in this country and have jobs here in production, because if nothing else, COVID should have taught people that we didn't have enough stuff.
Couldn't get ventilators in this country.
Well, and then, a lot of medicines made overseas, and it's not, I'm not picking on China because it's not just China. I mean, there's stuff coming out of India, Mexico, on and on and on. And for as much as medicines cost, you would think they could make most of the stuff here. Because you remember Mylan Labs was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They were one of the first big generic companies.
Massive.
And I don't know if they're even still there. Or if they're maybe a small company compared to what they were.
Right.
But that was a Pittsburgh-based company that was cutting edge at the time, and they were huge. But then if you can offshore stuff and get it cheaper, that's okay when the supply chain's fine. But when you have something like pandemic and you can't get the stuff, you can't get shipping containers here, and you can't get, so
right.
You have shortages on medicine that people need, not a good thing.
I was just talking to a friend of mine. She just got hired by Eaton, going to work in Moon Township. She's getting ready to tour the plant here. And I said, what perfect timing. Let's talk about Eaton a little bit and what they've meant to this community. Good thing, right?
They've been here a long time now.
I know. And it's all kind of tied, the old Westinghouse plant now Westinghouse back with making nuclear plants. I mean, I would rather wake up every day at 2 a.m. like tomorrow and Sunday with some optimism.
Right.
And knowing that things like this are still going on in a community like Beaver.
They're talking about taking the Bruce Mansfield plant that was coal-fired and putting gas generation in there.
EQT, Toby Rice, it's going to happen.
And if they do that, the natural gas creates minimal pollution, so versus coal with a lot of pollution. So, I mean, I know I had scrubbers and stuff like that, but still the natural gas environmentally is probably the best generation other than nuclear, and then you got to figure out what to do with nuclear waste. But I mean, they're talking about bringing 3 Mile Island back on.
Yeah.
And they're talking about a lot of stuff, bringing a lot of these places.
Homer City.
With all this AI generation
data
that takes all this stuff.
And when it's done, they're like Homer City, going to be 10,000 members of the building trades, your carpenters, electricians, plumbers. But when they're done, they're going to have like 3,000 people working there full time.
Right.
I mean, and with what we've seen here with Royal Dutch Shell, it's absolutely phenomenal. I told somebody on the phone the other night, if I'd ever retire from radio, I'm going to Homer City, population of 900, and I'm opening a pizza shop or a bar.
There you go.
All right, 1975, we graduated.
Right.
What was the hottest car back then you could only dream to own? I'm going to give you one that you're probably not going to believe, but any car you could have owned, 1975.
You mean what I wanted to buy, or what was available brand new?
Either way.
That was right after the gas crisis in 74, '73.
Right.
So I always liked Pontiac Trans Ams. They were cool.
Yeah, man.
So of all the cars you could buy in '75, that was probably one of the nicer ones. You know, I always liked, I mean, there's a lot of cars I like, but that was an affordable car. One of my buddies bought a brand new '75 Trans Am. He's a little bit older than I am, but I think he's 4 years older than I am. But he bought a brand new Trans Am in '75 for $5,300. So, I mean, $5,300 was different in 1975 than it is now.
Right.
But, you know, the dollar, I don't know what the multiplication is of that, but it probably would be like 25, 30,000 now, is my guess. So, but it was still pretty, you know, when you can buy a car for $5,300 brand new, nicely featured and stuff, it was pretty cool.
You know what I loved, and I'm sure they were out in the late '60s, but remember the Mercury Cougars?
Mm-hmm. That was one of my first cars.
Woo!
Yeah, I got a 1967 Cougar was my first car I drove.
What color was it?
It was Acapulco blue. Pretty car.
Nice.
And it was
slip shift?
It was an automatic, but it had a floor shifter, and it was the XR7, so it had all the gauges, and it was cool. It had hideaway headlights and sequential turn signals and stuff. So it was a neat car, and I think, you know, it needed some body work when we bought it. It was 5 years old. They rusted back then around here with all the salt and stuff. I think my dad paid $500 for it.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was my first car.
My first was a Mercury, a Ford Mercury 62. I had to carry a case of oil in the back. And my uncle sold it to me for the price of the inspection, $80. But the car that I always wanted, my sister had, she had a metallic gold Plymouth Duster.
Those are neat cars.
I don't know what it is.
I've had a couple of those. I always bought like Dodge Darts or Plymouth Dusters for like winter cars. And I always got one with a slant six, and they had a long rear overhang. So if you put some sandbags like back towards the back of the car, they were good in snow. You didn't need four-wheel drive.
Listen, he deserves everything. He works like his father before him, his son Adam. Customer service second to none. I tell everybody when they're looking for any appliance, any piece of furniture, all roads lead to Nahas. Is there any car that you would like to have that you don't?
Not really. I mean, you know, there's always something comes along that I think's cool, but...
What do you think's cool? Like right now, it's like, wow, that's cool.
Like, the new cars, to me, are nice. Like, I like the new Corvette. It's nice.
But they don't have the same character.
Well, they're different. They're just... And they've already made more of those cars since, like, 2020 than they did. Like, all the 63 to 67s were my favorite years of Corvettes.
Mm-hmm.
And in that 63 to 67 model run, they made more to 2020. I think by 2022, they made almost as many cars. Or 2022, 2023, in those three model years. And so they pumped a lot of those cars out. So, you know, I'm looking at down the line. Those cars will be collectible probably, but they're not going to be super rare.
I'll tell you, in closing, the one car that I hope before I die, I want to own, but not one of the newer ones, not an SUV, not an Escalade. I want a Cadillac.
Those are nice.
Just a standard Cadillac sedan.
I think Cadillac's going all electric.
They are.
So
Yeah, I know. So I heard.
Hopefully they keep the one gas hot rod they had that had the Corvette motor in it. We'll see.
What was that?
CTS or something like that. I don't know.
GTS.
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
But they made one that was really a fast car.
All right, tell everybody what's happening here bright and early tomorrow. I'm going to try to come back about 6:37. We'll go live to tape. We'll talk to him. We'll show you some cars in the background. But it's free. And you got downtown Beaver. Beaver Chamber does a great job. All sorts of great places to eat, shop, relax. This is the place to be, but fill them in on everything that's happening tomorrow.
So tomorrow, the roads will get closed at 11, so you'll be able to walk up and down the street. There'll be an open cruise lane, so guys will be running cars up and down the street. There's food vendors here. Of course, you have restaurants all the way from down at, you know, the Dairy Queen all the way to the end of the town to like Philly Originals, so there's tons of places to eat. The weather looks really good. I think there'll be probably 10, 15,000 people here. So it'll be a nice event.
Hey, Dan Nahas, checkered flag. All right, your Pratt Pack. We'll see you tomorrow morning on the radio then. Hey, I get through that marathon tomorrow, I'll be back here tomorrow night, but you should be here tomorrow throughout the day. Tell your neighbors, they're coming from all over the tri-state.
Oh yeah.
This is one of the biggest in the nation. The Beaver Car Cruise, known as the Hot Summer Nights Cruise. This is the headquarters at the gazebo, but there's acres of cars and a whole lot of smiling people.